This tutorial covers the switch statement in C#. I'll be demonstrating the switch statement using ASP.NET and specifically this page right here that I've set up ahead of time. This web page actually has a label called Label1, a text box named Textbox1, and a button named Button1, and a blank label here that's named Label Result. And the way we want this program to work is when it's run from the web page, the user would enter a number from 1 to 5 just as instructed on this label inside the text box, click the button, and then the result is going to simply tell the user which of the numbers that the person entered. Now the switch statement is really for helping you make decisions or helping the program control the flow of information. You could use the same, you could do the same program with multiple if statements. If text box equals 1, then text result equals 1, if etc., etc. You could do that nested if statements. You could put multiple if statements in there, but the switch statement should actually be used if there are more than a few cases, 2 or 3 cases. Your code gets to be a little bit messy if you keep using if statements over and over and over again, if there's going to be multiple cases. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and double click the OK button, which will take us to the event handler for the button 1, and we'll get started coding. So I'm going to go ahead and type switch, and the way this works is the first line here, the first thing we're going to come out with is switch what, and inside parentheses is what we're actually testing, and we're testing the text box 1 text. So really you're just instructing the program to do a switch on the text that is in text box 1. So it's checking what's in there. The next keyword that we're going to use is case, and we're going to put case 1 and then a colon. Now the reason that we're putting the 1 in quotes is because you should know that inside the text box, even though we type the number, the program looks at the text property of that text box as a string. It's not actually a number, so we're doing case 1, we're actually evaluating as a string. So if it is a 1, what do we want to have happen? We want the label result text to be equal to something like you typed a 1. Real clever, and end it with a semicolon, of course. And then we have another keyword we have to use, break, and we use that break after each case before we start another case. So now I'm going to have to do the case for the other possibilities. We'll do the 5. I'll actually do a shortcut. I'll go ahead and copy this to the clipboard and paste it for 2, 3, 4, and 5. You should always find ways like this around if you're duplicating code rather than type all that stuff out. We'll go 4 and 5. And then of course the result is going to be 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we need one last case. It's not actually a case, it's another keyword, default, and the default is used for if the switch statement doesn't find a case that matches any of the cases. So the final one will be label result dot text equals, and obviously it's not going to be 1 through 5, so that means the user didn't follow instructions. So we'll just type you can't follow directions, and we will break there, and that is the end of our switch statement. So just to review that, it starts when we click that button. It's going to look at the text box text, and let's suppose we put in a 4. It's going to come down here and look at this line, case 1. It's not even going to evaluate anything there. It's going to look at 2. It's not going to look at what it would have done. It's going to come down and it's going to find the case that it matches. It matches case 4, so it is going to change the label result text property to you type the 4, and then it will exit the switch statement. It's not going to look at 5 or the default. So in actuality, if you are programming and you have an expected result, this one obviously it's 1 in 5 chance what they're going to type. Actually, more if they can't follow instructions. But if you have a case that's going to come up more often, if you put it at the front of the switch statement, it'll actually make your code run quicker. If you had multiple things to evaluate, just the most likely case should be first, and then all the way down to the least likely. And of course the default is just to handle. You always have to have the default, and you always have to have the break. I'm going to go ahead and run this, and we'll save it first. I always like to go back to the ASPX page. We'll go ahead and run it, and if I've typed everything right, it should run. And it looks like it's going to run, so the syntax must be right. And we'll come here and see our controls on the page. Enter 1 through 5. We'll put a 4, and we'll hit OK. You typed a 4. It looks like it's working. We'll type one more, 1. And let's not follow instructions. We'll hit OK. You can't follow directions. So looks like everything's working. And just a note, we'll go back to the code. We can use integers here to evaluate. If you're familiar with some other languages, like Visual Basic uses a select case statement instead of a switch statement, you can do ranges like case 0 through 10, case 20 through 50. You can't do ranges. You can do only equalities. You can't do case is greater than 5 or anything like that. You can do with the select case in Visual Basic. So that's about it. Hopefully you learned something here. If you have any questions, leave comments below. Any suggestions, leave comments below. And we'll see you next time.